Hey Max, here's a quick overview of the items that we worked on yesterday. So first things, go through Erdnase, learn how to riffle shuffle the deck, exactly how he has it. That's exactly how he has it in the book. And then learn two controls, the top card control. And remember we had a little ploy on that, so you're just leaving the top 8 or 10 cards. All right. And you alternate, cutting to the left, cutting to the right. All right, the bottom part. All right. Then I also showed you another trick, and that was when you undercut. So that means when you take the bottom and put it on top. Okay. So that's a buzzword you'll see in Erdnase. Anyway, you undercut and you put the bottom half on top, and you talk about shuffling the cards, going to give them a good mix. Now when you riffle, it looks like the top card's getting buried, but that's actually the bottom half, and our top stock is still intact. Okay, the first thing we're going to learn is what I call the new game or go over. I think this was the second trick we did. You have a 4 on top, 4 kings, any X card, could be any card at all, then the 4 aces. And that's your setup. I only got 3 of the aces, so let me get the 4th ace here. Okay. All right, so 4 on top, 4 kings, any X card, 4 aces. So we've got a 10 card stock that we need to maintain. And like I said, it's much easier to do a bottom stock control than the top. So you can shuffle, and then the top group becomes a bottom stock, and that looks perfect. You say, and you talk about a new game. We're going to play a new game. I'm going to let you do everything. Let you control how many times the cards get shuffled. They're going to let you cut the cards. They're going to let you choose the number of players in the game. I'll even let you choose the number of cards in each hand. So whenever you feel like saying stop, stop, so they stop. Then all you do is we're going to force the top card by the following method. And like I said, this came from a move of Larry Jennings and a trick called pre-configuration that he published in 1964 or 65 in Genie magazine. So they can say stop anywhere. Stop. You just turn the deck over and you talk for a second. Say, we don't want to use this card because we know what it is. Let's use the next card, which is face down. So this gives a nice picture, like that card's coming out of the middle of the deck, but that's really the top card of the deck. That's a 4 that you're forcing. All right, so then I would go ahead at this point, maybe just give them another shuffle, keeping the top stock. Got 2 packets there, why not give them one more shuffle? And then you say, whatever number that is, let's say it's a 5. I want you to deal out 5 hands. Oh, you let them cut off, excuse me, say cut off half the cards. You do the cut. All right, that's how many cards we're going to use in the game. All right, then you say whatever number that is. That's a 5, deal 5 hands, and you just count off 5 cards. So there's the 4 kings and an X card, all right? So now you just pick these up, putting the kings on the bottom, so the 4, and then you put the whole group of 5 on the bottom, so you're putting the 4 kings right there on the bottom. And then we're going to say if it was a 3, you do another demo, and you deal the top 3, deal 3 hands. Whatever number that is, you do. And then you give this to the spectator. They're going to do everything from now on. So they turn that over at 4. You say deal out 4 hands of cards. So they deal out 4, and you just say exhaust all the cards. Doesn't matter if one hand gets a card, one more card than the other. So we lucked out. We got a perfect divvy of 4 there. And then you say, oh, I see you played this game before, and you turn these over, and you get that nice first surprise. And then you say, but what I really don't understand is how in the world you dealt everybody an ace in the hole. You get a double kicker. So, like I said, this was a real old mathematical trick. Only had 1 phase. And this was published way back in the, way back, decades and decades and decades ago. And originally was, hey, start dealing down, stop whenever you want, then deal these 2, and then it just had a mathematical feel. There was no reason for any of the deals or whatever, all right? And then you only had one climax, you didn't have 2, All right, you just had the aces. So what I did was I made a logical reason for everything, and then I added the double kicker. As a matter of fact, there's a real famous trick called this Spectator Cuts the Aces by Bob Beezer. Came out in the 60s, and there's been hundreds of methods published. And in the Cardinal book, I tackled that problem, but I had a spectator cuts double. So there was all kinds of this double sequencing. So this was in the Cardinal book. I called it the new game. But originally I forced a 3, and then they had 4 3s out on the table. I dealt 3 hands, and the one they selected was a 3, and you got 4 3s, and everybody had an ace in the hole. Then I upped the handling about a year after the book came out in '94, and came out with this, just a slight little variation in handling. All right, so that's trick number 1. Okay, trick number 2 was our spectator grabs 4 cards and you change them into the aces. So have the 4 on top, and what you need to do is get one of the aces on the bottom, and 3 on top. And the way we're going to do that is you shuffle, keeping your top stock. I pull back on the top card just a little bit, and I square up and get a thumb break under 1 card. So you can see that. That's what it looks like. Thumb break under 1 card. Then all you do is cut, put those on top, undercut, and then split for a shuffle. And now we're in this situation. 3 on top, 1 on the bottom. Okay? All right, so as you spread, you can in-jog that 3rd card if you want. Say touch 4 cards. So they touch 4 cards. When you do an in-jog, though, always keep it minuscule, so it really just looks messy and doesn't look pronounced and obvious. So I can square these up, lift up at the in-jog, turn these over, spread, and pick up and have a break under 7. Then we bevel these so you can't see the edge thickness. And then you say, let's look at these 4 cards. I got a 6 of hearts, 4 of hearts, Jack of spades, and the 3 of clubs. All right, so I'm going to make a row of these 4 cards. You just remember that one, which was the 3 of clubs, the last one. You pick up and say, we're going to start with the 3 of clubs. And you pick up this deck. All right? You're going to hold the backs to the audience, the backside of the audience. So this is just in left-hand dealer's grip, and you get a break, little finger break under that top card. Now remember, on discussing the break, these 3 fingers are held as a unit. The thumb keeps the break from leaking in the top. That's a very common error. People do something like this, and you can see that from the audience view. But if you keep these 3 fingers totally in line as a unit, now that takes practice to get that, because that's kind of an unnatural position, but it looks natural. And just get in the habit of holding that deck, and that break is covered. The only person that can see it is you in the back. It's not, you can't see it there, or the front. All right, now we're going to do a move, and it's the audio, the sound that makes this a good move. But here's what you do. I'm practicing, so I'm doing exposed side. You put this card and you hold it on top of the deck at the outer corner and keep it in place with the thumb. The left fingers move out of the way and let that ace fall as their left hand turns down. And then just practice that over and over and over again while you're watching a TV show. I guarantee you in 20 minutes it'll be as natural as pie. And then when you do this move, you add a sound to it. You do a demo on the first one, do nothing. All right? And then on the second one, you hit that card and let it fall. So in speed, it says, watch that 3 of clubs. Hey, it changed. Now you set the deck down and you just do the same move with single cards, and then just let them turn over one by one, and it looks like they all changed in the same manner. All right. So that's kind of a fun little thing. All right. Then the next thing we learned was the bluff pass. And we use this in a trick called Technicolor splits too. But sometimes you have to get a control where it doesn't look like you shuffle or do anything, and the card is placed in the center of the deck, and you need it on top of the deck or close to the top of the deck. And that's where this move comes in handy. So I get a break under 1 card. And the way I'm doing that, by the way, is I just push forward a little bit with my thumb. My little finger can lift up and I square. And I automatically got that break right there. All right, so it's real easy to do. You can just talk, wave around a little bit. Nobody can see anything. Larger movement covers a smaller movement, and you get a break. Then riffle down and let the spectator say stop. And then just pick up the whole top half, set that card down on the table. All right, and you say, I'm not going to look. And when you turn, you just drop everything but the top card on the deck. Say, you look at the card, all right? Then you keep this position. So they're just seeing the back of one card. They think it's half the deck. And you say, put it back right there. All right? And then just slap that one card on top and it looks like, and then sometimes people will do that though. They'll slap it and then, here, let me show you what I mean. So they'll slap it on top and then they'll just lift up and dribble. So you kind of think you're really seeing it go in the center of the deck. Then we talked about double lifts briefly and how to get a good looking double lift. And the main thing you do not want to do is do something like this to set up for the double lift. That ruins the illusion. So in this particular trick, you could say, hey, your card's not on top. Now notice I'm getting a break. That looks totally natural. And the snap of the fingers, your card floats to the top. Now a little review on this. I'm doing what's called the Vernon 2-card push-off. I got my little finger break. I take over with the middle finger. I put my thumb there. And with a little practice, you can just move those 2 cards forward in perfect in line. Then when you flip them over, you out jog a little bit. Then the forefinger pushes down on that out jog. See how it raises the 2 cards? And I square. So I am now in a perfect setup to just do that perfect double lift over and over and over again. So typically you'd make the card float to the top. You say, hey, let's try that again. That ace goes right there in the center, and sure enough, it floats right to the top. So you can get a real good illusion. So we talked about the bluff pass. Okay, then the other move we learned was the call. So I'm just going to shuffle, and I'll cut the cards, and that'll be the card that we call 8. All right. Now typically, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll get an 8 near the face of the deck. And you can do that real easy by just spreading the cards. And you spot, oh, there's my first 8. So when you pick these up, it's like you have a little accident. And I put that 8 near the face of the deck. All right? So here's what we do. We go to the first 8, and I hold it back. I hide that. And I continue spreading till I get to the next 8. Then I take all these cards, and I drop the cards that are underneath that break that I'm holding with my forefinger. I put these 2 together. Now I got 2 8s together. I go to the next 8 and I say, look, I'm going to put out a few cards here. All right? You shuffle this deck. This is a randomized, mixed up, shuffled deck. And in that short process, I pull those 4 8s to the top of the deck. So that was the Brother John Hammond call. World's easiest call, and it's really very, very deceptive. Now, I often will do that call when I'm removing like 4 cards or 5 cards. So we did a trick where, let's say they named the 8 of clubs, so we know that those are in different spots in the deck. So I did this trick. I just, actually what I did was I ran through the deck and I removed the joker. And I said, I'll put the joker right here in my pocket. Okay? But you don't tell them what it is. You just say, I'll put a card in my pocket. Then you ask them to name a card. So let's say they say 8 of clubs. Okay? Also, a lot of times what I'll do, yeah, I did. I'll have a piece of double-sided tape in my pocket. All right? Now, I just put one in there. So now that's going to keep that card up so it won't fall down. So that won't go out of view. You get a better illusion. All right? So what I do is just remove a full, so they said 8 of clubs, I'm going to spread, and I'm going to get an 8 near the face of the deck. All right? So that looks like I just picked up the spread. So I run, and I say, I'm going to run through these cards, and I'm going to remove a good poker hand. Okay, now what I do is I typically up jog a pair or a high card, so I see a pair of 7s there, and I set those down. So I'm going to get out what's known as a full house. Now I found another pair right there, okay, and I'm going to go for my next 8. All right, so I'm right here. So now I got 2 7s, 2 10s, and then I go for yeah, I missed one of the 8s here. I don't know how, but I did. All right, but that's okay. I only got 4 cards. You say, oh, let me get one more really good card here. We'll get now just go through and find your last 8 and up jog a 10. All right, and then you're all set. Now I got 3 8s on top. 1 I kept a break on, so I would just shuffle and get all 4 to the top of the deck there, and using a jog there to get there. So I get the 4 8s to the top. Now they said 8 of clubs, and so you're in this position, so you remember the position of their card. You say, well, I just ran through the faces and found these 4 cards. All right, so by the way, I'm giving you directions for a trick I did for you, but we never really finished completing. This one I call predetermined cutting. Had a set of lecture notes I published in 212. All right, so I got the 4 8s on top. The 8 of clubs is 3. So you say, I'm going to teach you how to find a good poker hand that'll beat that full house just by looking at the backs of the cards, and it's based on an estimation. So I'm going to give you a small number like 3. Now you can't count. You can't go 1, 2, 3. That's cheating. Now the real purpose of doing this fake count, if it's 2, you'd count 2. If it was 4, you'd count 4, wherever that 8 of clubs was in the group. I get a break under 2 more. I just push over 2, get a break. You say you can't count. If I say the number 5, and now I have a break under 5, so I can pluck off 5 perfectly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I say 10, you got to cut off 10 perfectly. All right? All right, so now I would shuffle, and I'm going to shuffle and get in the same setup we were with the ace trick. 1 on the bottom, 3 on top. All right, so I did a double undercut, and I put the name card right there on the bottom of the deck. All right, well, my tape didn't hold here, did it? It's just a better looking switch if the tape holds. So get a good piece of, yeah, this is a real old piece of Scotch tape I got in there, so not holding. I'll try to keep it like that. It's just a better look if the card never goes out of sight. All right. So what I do is a slip cut. I cut off a small number of cards. I drag the top card off the top as I kind of square, and I put those down, and I ask them to guesstimate how many. So let's say they say 8. That's what you said last night, and I just count 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We didn't get 8. Well, you're 1 off. Now, when you pick these up, you have a oops moment, and you leave one of them here. So the whole idea is to get 1 8 on top, 1 8 on the bottom, and you get a break under the bottom 8. All right, so you kind of push that off the side and get a little break and hold that with your thumb. Okay? So you say, would you try to cut off about 8 cards? This is what 8 looks like. So they try, and then you have them count. While they're counting, you just let these 2 packets kiss, and you drop the 1 card as you square. 1, 2, 3, 4, you're half off. This is what 8 looks like. So now when they cut, you've got an 8 here, an 8 here, you got an 8 here. And then you say, okay, well, let's see how well you did. 1, 2, 3, and you count. And this time there are too many. You ask them to cut again. You know, a lot of times I'll change the number like 5, let's do 10. And then you say, well, you didn't do very well on the cuts, because they normally don't. And they say, but yeah, you were perfect. Look at, you got an 8 here, hearts here. And everybody thinks that's going to be the 8 of clubs, and then you have that disaster. Oh, I missed. Oh, remember that 5th card of the poker hand I put in my pocket? Now this is a move of Dave Runfield's. And you just get a little finger break, and then I kind of make it big and kind of hold it open with my thumb there. All right, kind of transfer the break from here to here. And then I pretend to reach in my pocket with my thumb, but all I do is reach in there and I pull out the card, and then I would shove the other card down in the pocket so it goes out of view. So it's just a better looking switch. And then you say 4 of a kind does indeed beat a full house. So that was that trick. Okay, we got one more to go, and that's the Technicolor splits. So remove the 4 aces from the blue deck. And this is an opener. You would do this one as your first trick. And then order's important. Chased order, which is clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds. All right, so I got to find my ace of clubs. All right, so we're in chased order. Then you do the same thing with the red deck. Get the 4 aces out in that order. And very important that you do have the order on both sides. That's going to make the suits match up. Okay, we're going to switch the heart, the spade, and diamond for each of the packets. Okay? Then on the blue packet, you put the ace of clubs way to the bottom, and the other 3 in the bottom or top 20 cards, distributed about 6 cards apart. All right? That goes in the blue box. All right? On here, I typically use kings and 2 jokers. 2 kings and 2 jokers. All right? But you could use any, you use 4 kings or whatever. I get 1 card out of the selection process by saying don't name the top card. All right? So here's what we're doing. I did that backwards, but that's okay. You want a king on top. So it's every other, oh, gosh, I put them in the wrong order. I can't believe I did that. Sorry. This put the wrong ones in the wrong deck. So let me, okay. So it's the red cards go in the blue deck. I'm very sorry. So these go in the bottom 20. So you got the red go in the blue deck with the ace of clubs way down towards the bottom. All right, so, and it's hearts, spades, clubs, hearts, spades, diamond. And then on these, boy, am I screwing this up? All right, so it's 3 and 1. Diamond, spades, hearts on the red, and then the club. All right. And then we've got the same setup here for the red deck, and then you just alternate these cards, every other one, keeping that order, clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds. All right? The blue deck's out of the way. That's where we got 3 red aces, 1 ace of clubs right there. All right? And that's the ace of hearts, that's the ace of clubs, spades, and that's the ace of diamonds. And the blue-backed ace of clubs up near the top. All right, so that's set up in that deck. This setup is right on the bottom. All right, these are in the card case. You're ready to perform. You bring out the red deck, and you do a tight thumb fan so you don't flash the bottom. I think we got bottom 8 cards there. All right, so you say red deck, and then you say I need 4 cards, 1 club, 1 heart, 1 spade, 1 diamond. And if I'm working for 1 or 2 people, I usually go for 4 of a kind. So name any 4 of a kind, but let's not name the face card. So that's going to set you up. So they can name anything you want. So let's say they name 5s. So you're going to remove these 5s from the deck, all right, and you're going to put them in clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds, or the chased order again. All right, so I got a 5 of clubs in here somewhere. There it is. All right, so they go clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds. All right. Then you're going to shuffle, and you're going to shuffle, undercut about half the deck. You push over 2, it doesn't matter, because you're just going to do it. And you keep a break as you shuffle. You say, I'm going to cut off a quarter-size packet, and you pick up at the break for each one of our 5s. You say, oh, that looks more like a half, which it is. So now you take back a quarter. I got a break under 2, and I put that there. I say, now that's about a quarter. And let's do this again. Now you cut at the break. So what you're doing is put one of those blue-backed aces on the bottom of each one of these packets. On packet number 3, I just push over 2 and set 2 down and say, oh, that's light. And just basically adjust it to 13 real quick. And then you can flash this one and say packet number 4 right there. So a quarter size packet for each one of the 5s. So you take your first 5 and then you cut it down the center. And I like to flash as many backs as I can so they really see this as a red deck. Cut that 5. You can't flash this one, so you just put it on top and you square. And what we're doing is getting them set up for that bluff pass that we learned a second ago. We're going to cut this one down into the center, and you really make it pronounced so to see it's going into the center of each quarter. And we'll do the same thing right here. That 5 of hearts, we'll place him in the center of his quarter. Now here's where the trickiness comes in. Put this on top, you buckle, you just push in with your finger there and you get a break under 1. Then you riffle off half, put your finger there like you're going to split the deck right there, but you let it go and you just pick up 1 card. Now notice how I'm holding this. My middle finger is on the outer right corner. This is called the Erdnase grip. If you look at Erdnase, this is how he deals bottoms. He holds this grip because it gives you more cover. So I put this here, and then I grab it and put that there, and it really looks exactly what you just did. And then you say, look, at none of the 5s are near the bottom or top, and you take the bottom card and just put it on top. All right. Then all you have to do is run through this stack, set the ace of diamonds down, turn these over. So this is a very convincing show that you're removing the 4 blue-backed aces from the deck. Now when you get to the ace of clubs, this is the one real ace here, that's the right color. You just out-jog it, you turn the whole thing as you set these down, so it feels like what you just did before, but they're seeing a flash of the back, and you scoop that up. I usually put these away, get them out of the picture, put them back in the card box. Then you just say, I'll set the red deck on top of those 4 aces. You can flash the aces again, snap your fingers, and then you just spread, and they show that the blue card's distributed right through the deck. Now the card on top of each ace is going to be the 6s. So when you grab, the 5, excuse me, grab them out, the first one you keep in line, just pull it back. Now the second one, do that and make a spread here. Third one, do the same thing, make a spread. And the 4th one, do the same thing. So now this way they can't backtrack when they're seeing this picture. They see 4 packets, each one looks like about a quarter of the deck, even though the really first one was 3 cards off the bottom, all right? And now you've got your matching ace with the matching 5. So that's called Technicolor splits, and that's pretty much everything we covered. I hope this video helps. Let me know if you've got any questions.